Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new episode of Full Funnel Live. So we have our episode number 104, continuing our live streams. And during one of the episodes, we promised you guys to share our approach about leveraging intent and engagement data to identify engaged accounts that should be transferred to ABM team. This was, by the way, one of the most common questions we have seen in Trenches community last week when we hosted ABM strategy webinar. Also, we had a session with staff about measuring ABM. So this question was appearing quite often. So we decided and promised you to share the full process. We'll have enough time for Q&A, so feel free to jump in and ask all of your questions live. Meanwhile, guys, share with us, please, where you're all coming from. Share in chat. I'm calling again from finally warm and sunny Split. Staff, where are you from? Share with us, guys, where you joining us from. Rob from Montreal, Boston, India, Indianapolis, Lisbon, cool. Belgium. Cool. So again, we have our international audience today. So there are a few things that I want to discuss with you guys. And basically, we have 3 points on our agenda. The sources of intent data that you can leverage for account list building, engagement threshold to identify engaged accounts. This is, by the way, one of the most common questions, right? And I think this is where lots of B2B companies are making the mistake. They never define this engagement threshold. And actually, that's why they don't have a real process of sourcing accounts from demand generation to account-based marketing. And how to qualify accounts before transferring them to ABM team. We'll share with you the resources first and go navigate you through I would say, the most efficient stack. Obviously, you can expand that stack, right? But I would share with you the essential intent and engagement data sources that you need to look at, right? This should be your primary sources of intent and engagement. And I would share with you a couple of examples how we use it. We'll share even the full case study, the full campaign setup, so you can see a complete version of how the campaign might be sourced with engaged accounts. So stay tuned. I believe that would be super valuable for you. Let's start with account list building for ABM, right? And first, I want to share with you the right versus wrong way of developing account list for account-based marketing programs. Let's start with the wrong way. The wrong way is basically when marketers initiate the ABM motion or the pilot ABM campaign, and they maybe they don't have a practical experience of running ABM, and they have heard about account-based marketing from vendors, from marketing agencies, from consultants, right? And unfortunately, the reality is that lots of marketers assume that for account-based marketing, all they need is purchasing ABM software, uploading a list of accounts to that software, running display ads, and this display ads could promote the landing page or the gated content or a webinar, and everybody who engages, clicks the ad or downloads the gated content should be transferred to sales, right? So we spoke a lot why this playbook is obsolete. And the biggest mistake here, I would explain, there is no problem with running display, let's say, IP-based ads. But if you are limiting your playbook to display ads, then your campaign is doomed. First, because you won't be able to reach the majority of your buyers with display ads, right? That's the first thing. The second one, there are lots of debates about the accuracy of IP-based targeting, right? And there is no interaction, there is no warm-up. So ads can enhance your ABM playbook, but can't replace it. And obviously, software comes at the later stages of ABM maturity, right? When you scale the process. But because of that premise, marketers think that they can upload a list of 500 accounts, or let's say 1,000 accounts, and target them with a pro targeting, right? The only difference with Facebook targeting or LinkedIn targeting is that you set up, but you can do it the same on LinkedIn as well, right? With display ads, you have only, you can expand to other platforms aside from LinkedIn. That's the main difference, right? You name the accounts and you show them your ads. That's the huge problem. Two other most popular wrong ways of building a list of accounts for ABM is a wish list, when the wish list comes from key stakeholders or from sales saying, hey, so now I want to sell to Fortune 500 companies. That's absolutely fine if you have experience of selling to these companies, right? But if you are, you must be honest, right? I mean, your team must be honest and understand where you are, what's your market share, what's your brand awareness on a specific market. And honestly, if you are unknown brand and you are a small vendor, nobody cares about, basically these Fortune 500 companies are not aware of, just because it's called account-based marketing, and just because you'll purchase ABM software, it's not a magic wand that will help magically converting these accounts into your clients, right? So unfortunately, there are no shortcuts or hacks to generate Fortune 500, right? So if your campaign is based on your wish list, this campaign is doomed. And finally, lost deals. There is one caveat. If the deal was lost because of missing feature, and I'm now talking about, let's say, SaaS or product companies, right? If the deal was lost because of a missing feature and now you have this feature, then it makes sense to include this deal into a specific re-engagement campaign. But if the deal was lost because of other reasons, right, and sales just transfer to marketing these deals, now saying, hey, now you need to basically somehow reactivate these lost opportunities, that campaign doomed as well. Generally speaking, the right way to build a list of accounts is leveraging three sources of intent and engagement data. So intent data, which I will share in a moment, demand gen, the data, the engagement data from your demand gen programs. You can leverage communities and associations, and this is one of the lowest hanging fruits. And in case, only in case, if you don't have enough data coming from these three sources, just for a pilot campaign, you can leverage existing network of sales and executives, right? But that should be the last source, because there is no engagement and intent. That's why I'm saying that should be the last source. But you can do account qualification, you can vet these accounts, and just because you have some level of relationship, right, you can at least expect that these accounts will engage and respond to your ABM campaigns. Next, what I want to share with you guys is the sources of intent and engagement data that you can leverage. Let's go through them really fast, because I think that's the most value will come not from the tools, but from the process of leveraging these tools, right? So one of them is website visitors, and you can, in our case, we use Albacross, but there are lots of solutions: Albacross, Lead Feeder, Happier Leads, Clearbit, Reveal, Lead Forensics, etc. Zoom Info also provides this information. So depending on your stack, you can leverage a solution that helps you, right? That's or basically that could be a good complement to your existing stack. So this software helps you to see the companies that are visiting your website and engaging with different website pages. And I will share with you a process how we use it. Next one, the search data. So the search data, and one of the most popular vendors is Bombora. And Bombora is quite expensive, but they have a free solution which is called Bombora Search Alerts, right? They have kind of freemium product. So it works almost the same way as the vendors that provide you website IP identification data, but the difference is that the Bombora tracks the searches that are coming from specific accounts about specific topics or keywords. Like in this case, I made just a screenshot, right? So you can see companies that are looking for account-based marketing, B2B marketing, account-based sales development, etc. Right? So there is no intent with you, but there is intent, or let's say there is a tracked intent that they are looking for a specific topic, which your ABM team can leverage for further engagement with these specific accounts. Next, what is really cool, and I highly recommend you to leverage, which could be complementary to Bombora or could be your primary source, is social signals. And obviously, if you have ever done in-depth customer interviews, you should know already the communities and associations your customers are members of. Especially keep always pay attention to associations. If you are serving conservative markets, right? By conservative markets, I mean like manufacturing companies, pharma, etc. So where people are not hanging out on LinkedIn all the day long, on social, generally speaking, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of these platforms, right? Where you won't be able to engage with them on social, associations could be your go-to solution. So you can leverage a power, and we have done a lot of campaigns where we leverage the power of associations. Otherwise, you can use communities. You can set up alerts in these communities, and below, you can see an example from one of the community. I set up the keywords tracking, right, for ABM. And this is a perfect example, right? I see a person asks, we are starting to scope out our first vertical focused ABM campaign. We have been largely inbound to this point. If anyone has a good playbook they like to run for this, I'd love to hear more about it, which is a fantastic opportunity, obviously, to leverage, right, that signal and add this account to your ABM program. Or you can use mention.com, which is a cool solution that allows you to track the same level of mentions of specific keywords on different social platforms. Like below, you can see Aero9 Clown Tech. They posted leverage social media for account-based marketing. So obviously, you don't need to pay attention to all the mentions, but whenever you see that somebody asks, hey, can somebody help, let's say, with account-based marketing, or I have a question about it, I would love to get help. That's a fantastic opportunity for you and your sales team. Question, sorry, I would come back to previous slide. Question from Michael, explain what do you mean by associations? So associations, these are the niche communities. So for example, associations of dentists or HVAC association. It's kind of, let's say, non-profit or government, could be government organization, or sometimes could be private. It's kind of not on, let's put it like this. It's not online community like Facebook group or Slack community, etc. But this is a bigger organization that arranges events, host, maybe have, this organization might have own newsletter. They have some private perks for its members, etc. So as I'm saying, so in the United States, I'm just thinking about the associations that we have leveraged. There was one healthcare association, I forgot the exact name, but just to give you an idea. So all major US hospitals and clinics are the member of that specific association. They run lots of events. They invite healthcare consultants, etc. So this is what I mean by association, right? So kind of bigger community. You can call it community as well, but just to give you, I want to split the definition of both, because traditionally in our marketing space, people think about communities as Facebook groups, Slack communities, etc. Just wanted to give you another perspective. Let me know if it's clear. Coming back to our sources. So one more could be hiring, right? So you can set up alerts for companies that are hiring for specific roles. So like in this case, right, companies hiring for marketing technology manager with ABM focus. And if you are selling, let's say, ABM software, that could be aha moment for you. So again, create signal that you can use to source this account to your ABM program, because they demonstrate the buying intent, right? Definitely, if they hire ABM marketer, they might be, and they say this is ABM marketer with a focus on technology, right? Obviously, they would use a specific stack, so that could be a cool opportunity for you. Or for companies, for example, like fullfunnel.io, we can help this company with launching and maintaining efficient ABM programs. Next is the demand, or let's say engagement data that is coming from demand generation program. And if you are doing thought leadership on LinkedIn, this is your go-to source of engagement data. You can look at companies that top 10 companies that consistently consume your content, right? People who regularly engage with your content, people who are following your company's page and engage with that content regularly. You can see, obviously, you need to define the engagement threshold, and we'll discuss what it is in a moment. But generally speaking, that could be a fantastic opportunity for you to identify people who engage with specific set of topics, right? Questions with you, and you can leverage it. Next is accounts from demand gen. You can use events, right? This is a screenshot of the recent events that we have hosted. I mean, the previous episodes of Full Funnel Live podcast. Depending on topic, unfortunately, this one, source and ABM with engaged accounts from intent had less demand, but anyhow, so previous sessions, as you can see, we had above 200 signups, and usually we have now we have 30 people online. Usually we have around 80 to 90 people online with us, right? If these are not in-depth webinars that where we have 300 people and more. But generally speaking, based on these events, you can collect the insights of accounts that repeatedly sign up for your events. You can look at companies that send more team members to these events, right? So this is what you can, basically, you can track the account penetration and looking at how many people from different companies signing up. So it could be also another source of intent data for you. These are basically the essential sources. Again, we can expand it, right? We can add G2 intent, but I just don't, what I have provided so far, these are cost-effective solutions. And until you'll have a robust process, right, I don't recommend you to purchase expensive ones. Later, you can buy solutions like Cogniz, like Zoom Info, Clearbit, etc. You can purchase intent from G2, but these are really expensive solutions. And just believe me, if you purchase that software and you don't have a really robust process, it's just a question of time when you'll start getting questions from your key stakeholders, especially from CFO, to justify the investment. That happens all the time. We are seeing the same with ABM stack. Lots of our peers are complaining that they're purchasing well-known ABM vendors, and in a few months, they start getting questions to justify the investment. So that's my advice. I just recommended you the, let's say, cost-effective sources of engagement and intent data. Now the question is how to capture this data, right? How to qualify it and how to source these accounts to ABM. So I would love to share with you some practical examples. And one of them is full funnel process. Stafford today led a session with one of our clients explaining it. So while it's hot, I think you can jump in and share your experience, how everything made sense to you, how the dots are connected.
Yeah, so it's been interesting this week because I've just been working on intent data with the clients the whole week. And it was nice because I got to try a couple of different ways of explaining this, and also like a couple of ways for myself to just wrap my head around it even better as I'm always learning. And what I noticed is that sharing this graphic really helped put the intent data in a lot of extra context. So if you're looking at this image, what you see is that when you're doing an ABM campaign, and oftentimes intent data is the bridge between demand generation and ABM. So what we see is that the first thing we're obviously going to do always is do our ICP development, right? And that's going to be a big part of that is about figuring out your qualification criteria. What accounts do you want, and how do you know a good account from a bad account? But when you have this profile, the next thing for ABM is always going to be to make a list. And before, back in the days, 7 years ago, and I was a young B2B marketer, I would just make the list based on firmographics, right? So we want companies that have this, that are this size, and this region, etc. And that worked for a little bit, but as soon as you start using intent data at this level, when you're making your account list, and also when you're managing your account list over the long term, it really makes everything much more effective, because instead of just putting every company in there that you will just put in the companies there that show some kind of an intent in your topic or show some engagement, and that will allow you to make a much smaller, tighter list. And that is actually what allows you to spend a proper amount of time per account, because otherwise, if you're doing hundreds of accounts, it's almost, you cannot spend any time on them because you have so many. So just using the intent data at the second stage when you're building your list, that really makes everything so much more effective. And then when you want to practically use this information, you're going to take a look at that list, however many accounts that are in there, start to do your account research, right? You're going to see, are there any news mentions? Do they have any relevant social media posts? What does the buying committee look like? Can we figure out what goals and challenges they have? Can we make a hypothesis about why these people would be interested in working with us? And then the other thing that I thought was really helped with explaining, after the research phase, you have the warm-up phase. And that is about making these accounts know, like, and trust you. And then when you've accomplished that, that is when you move into activation, which is kind of like getting these people to become an active part of your, well, basically opening up the buying process, the sales process with your company. And just if you're looking at this kind of like big picture of ABM, it really puts intent data in its proper place and context. And I think it helps a lot to understand what is intent data good for and what is it not good for. So I really found using this image to be extremely helpful when working with intent data and explaining the use of it.
Quick question to you guys. Was this explanation helpful? Does this process make sense to you? Share with us a quick feedback in a chat, or type plus, yes, whatever. Yes, very helpful. Thanks, Yash. Thanks, Angelina, Rob. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, Michael, feel free to, if you want, if you have an opportunity, jump in and ask your question live. So happy to help and explain. Maybe you can unmute Michael, Stafford, and ask to start video. Yeah, if you have, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to type or raise your hand, so we'll call you and you can join the convo live.
Hi, this is Michael, but it's not really Michael. It's Sharon. I am just using my husband's laptop, so
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
My question is, when you build, you build the list? So you have the list, you have your ICP, and you put that in your HubSpot. I'm not sure, what do you mean? It simultaneously, when you build the list, you also see if there is an intent, like, because we usually build the list. I'm a little confused. How do you build the list simultaneously when it's according to your ICP, and in the same time you want to make sure if there is an intent? And I'll explain what is confusing to me.
Yeah.
For example, so let's say we are an online gift card company, and there is a lot of people in a company. Let's say a company is Walgreens, and there are a lot of use cases for using gift card. It could be for internal gift card, for HR, for like a birthday. It could be external gift card, like to for marketing campaign, for sales campaign. But the intent data that you showed me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can only see if somebody from Walgreens was looking for an online gift card platform, but you don't know which department, right? So let's say if your ICP, the buying committee is, the HR, but I don't know who from this whole huge Walgreens company looked for an online gift card platform. So how do I match the intent of Walgreens as a whole, that somebody looked for an online platform, that I can make sure that it really aligns with the buyer persona? Is the question clear?
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot see in the intent data the email, like who actually in Walgreens.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would give two answers to that question, and basically this is what coming next, what I was going to share with you. So a couple of things, right? First of all, let's look at the cohesive ABM and demand generation model. We didn't include that slide here, but maybe Staffan, you can share a link to that post. We have had also full funnel live episode about it. Yeah, so you can see the cohesive model. The key point is that all of your, let's say, all of your target addressable market, right, that fits your ICP should be added first to your demand generation program. And when these companies demonstrate any engagement or intent on the top of the funnel, right, with your brand awareness or demand gen programs, only then these companies should be qualified and sourced to account-based marketing. That's the first thing. So Staffan will share a link and you guys can see how this cohesive model works, or we can cover this later. That's the first thing. The second one, your question about unknown intent, right, from whom it's coming. That's correct. But the point is that at this moment, we build a list of accounts, right? List of accounts, and then we need to understand how our buying committee looks like, which leads us to one of the most important things, right, which is fundamental for ABM success, is I would go to that slide, is your ideal customer profile that consists of 5 pillars, right? ICP consists of 1, your firmographics data, and this is where most B2B companies limit themselves, right? 2, it's account segmentation, because even with the same, not all companies were created equal, right? And we need to market to these companies differently. So this stands for account segmentation. Next, the buying committee structure, and different tiers of accounts might have different buying committee structure. So in our case, it's a little bit simplified, but I can share with you guys, and I shared it last week on the ABM strategy webinar screenshot from the client's example, where we have a way more diversified set of criteria, right? Who is involved, how many people, etc. So this next account qualification and disqualification criteria, now you are seeing full funnels, our companies, right? ICP aside from the account enrichment. So the last part, basically 4 parts I named: firmographics, account qualification, account segmentation, and the buying committee structure. And the last one is account enrichment. So account enrichment, it's basically the buyer journey, how these customers are buying, what channels they use, who is involved, etc. So the next step that you need to have in your ABM program, that's not the topic of today's conversation, But I would just give you an idea. One of the key things that you need to have is account development playbook. You have the buying committee, right? And now you need to have a clear set of responsibilities who is going to target whom in your ABM team. So let's say you see these roles in our case, right? So let's say I want to market to your company. Then I would target decision makers. So and your company is tier 1, let's pretend, for fullfunnel.io. I would be targeting VP of marketing as our target decision maker. Vladimir, my co-founder, would be targeting influencers and bloggers, so CRO external agencies, and also decision maker partially. And Staffo would be targeting champions, because these are people who are his peers, right? These are marketers, ABM leads, head of marketing, etc. This is a simplified version. With our clients, we develop depending on the complexity, right? If we are selling to big enterprises, there would be way more people involved, and there would be split between roles. So the key point is when the account is identified, the next would be account research, something that we have discussed last week with Jim. I would share with you the link to that episode. Account research, value proposition mapping, and then you need to have a playbook. The playbook, this is basically what we were sharing. This is an example of playbook, right? And in this playbook, everybody has own roles. As you can see in the middle, account research, in the middle, we have the buying committee. So then everybody starts engaging with the buying committee roles depending on their set of responsibilities in account development playbook, right? So the fact that you doesn't know who exactly demonstrated the intent, let's say if we are talking about website traffic, right, or the Bombora search, right, this is unknown intent or untracked intent. It only says that this account has interest, but when you understand the buying committee, you understand who might be the champion, who might be looking for it. You start that engagement, and you start basically connecting, engaging with these people, and trying to bring the target decision makers to your warm-up play. In our case, that was podcast as a warm-up play, right? Just giving you an idea. Hope that makes sense and explains the full process. Let me know, please. So coming back to the processes, right? Let's nail down the processes. First, you define the sources of intent data that you're going to use. You need to create a kind of in-house SOP explaining what are the sources, how often the sources should be tracked, who should be tracking, right, etc. Next, you need to qualify and segment accounts. So whenever you identify an engaged account, you need to assign a specific tier and also qualify or disqualify that account before that account should be transferred to ABM program. And what's next is that you need to define intent and engagement criteria. So I just made a screenshot from our Albacross account. And this is kind of, if you look at the previous slide, right? So account segmentation criteria and account qualification, we applied the things that are possible to apply. And next is obviously you need to do manual check. So this, let's say, high intent source to ABM, I would share, I deliberately before this session, I cleaned all the text just to demonstrate the process to you guys. So these are segmented filters, right? Page visit. So high intent, it's basically the companies that checked work with us page. Locations, our target markets, it says 21, but somehow we just duplicated some countries. So these are our target markets. Next, some industries are disqualified, right? The duration ends above 1 visit to our website. So this kind of criteria we can set up. And next we do one by one, right? So let's look at this company, DMG Motor AG. So there were 6 repetitive visits from different sources, right? And this company spent in total 1 hour. So we can go here, and just to give you an idea, let's come back to our ICP so it will make sense to you. So this company, let's say revenue, employees, industry, market makes perfect sense based on the firmographics, right? We can look at the employee size, and obviously the next step, one of the criteria we are checking, that's the sales team should be big, marketing team size should be quite big, right? So can go here and sorry, we can just give you a quick idea how that could be qualified. We can go, so sales 654 people, right? Definitely they would belong to our tier 1 account. So in this case, we can come back, so go to intent, high intent, right? And this is where we assign this company tier 1, right? And then we move this company. So what's happening next, right after this? So what's happening next is that we move this company to account research. And this is exactly what we have discussed last week with Jim Gilkey from Terminus. So guys, I highly recommend you to check that episode because we shared our approach. We shared, Jim shared Terminus approach, so you can see it, right? Account is qualified, account is segmented, and now we send this account to account research, where we collect the insights about the key initiatives, the potential needs, right? And we look at these resources as roadmaps, press releases, earnings calls, statements, interviews with key stakeholders, etc. Next, we dive deeply into buying committee structure, and we start mapping out, right? So what's the role of each of the buying committee members in these key initiatives, right? What are their KPIs? What are their challenges or challenges that they might be facing? How we can fit our product, or what is the value our product can provide. This is where we start with personalized solutions, right? And then we do the distribution, which basically the distribution means the warm up and activation playbook. So basically how we are going to warm up this specific account about our personalized solution, right? And how are we going to deliver it. So this is the entire process, and I just used website traffic as an example, but this is basically the process that you can apply to any source of intent data, right? And what is really important, I would come back to that point, you need to create an SOP. Somebody in your company should own that process, right? And first of all, the process should exist. You need to, in our case, as you can see, we have explanation videos explain how to first of all explain the different sources of intent data, the daily process, how to track this data, how to capture it, how to segment it, qualify, etc., how it assign and transfer to our CRM. So this is exactly the way how we do it, right? And next step is, as I'm saying, so when account is segmented and qualified, we move this account to account research and add it to ABM campaign, existing or one that we are planning to launch. In our case, the ideal setup is an ongoing or evergreen ABM motion. So all these campaigns, they shouldn't be one-off campaigns, right? These should be ongoing processes, and everybody would know, okay, so this qualified account, this is account research, this is how we can help. Now let's move forward and try to generate opportunity with this specific company. SOP. So what does SOP stand for? It stands for Standard Operational Procedure, right? So a clear guideline of the process. So clear instructions for the person who owns that process. That's it when it comes to the entire process. We have a bunch of questions coming from our community, which I would love to share. But meanwhile, guys, share with me, was it helpful? Was it insightful? Provide a feedback, and feel free to type any questions. Would love to hear your feedback first, and would love to see questions from you. Meanwhile, I would cover some questions that came from Trenches community. So question from Danny, do you use tech tools like demand base for intent data, give direction and focus to certain accounts? And this is what we have covered, right? My recommendation is that in the beginning, until you have a robust ABM motion, it makes sense to stick to cost-effective intent data solutions, right? The solutions that I shared with you today with Stafford, I mean, the total cost for that stack would be definitely less than $500 if you'll use all of these solutions, right? Which is way less expensive than demand base or zoom info or any other solution. Later, when you have a robust ABM motion, right, and you want to streamline, accelerate it, then it makes sense to switch to enterprise solutions. So the next one is from Daniel. How accurate do you find 6 Sense data to be? I'm not an active user of 6 Sense, but generally speaking, to give you an idea, guys, no intent data vendor gives you 100% accuracy. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Some of them provide better quality of data. Some of them provide, let's say, worse set of data, but generally speaking, nobody provides 100% accuracy. Yeah, is there a list of recommended tools? Again, KJ, let me navigate you through these tools just to make it clear, right? Something that I recommend. So this is website traffic reveal software, and as I said, there are lots of vendors: Albacross, Lead Feeder, Happier Leads, Clearbit Reveal. The lowest hanging fruit for you would be starting with Clearbit Reveal, and I would recommend you guys to start with it because it's a freemium solution. They provide you a limited set of data, but it will be always for free, so you can just get a sense of how it works, and later you can upgrade or switch to another product, right? Bombora Search Alerts. So this is a free product, not free, but again, free with a limited set of data you can use. Mention.com, they also provide freemium account. Alerts and communities, I mean, it depends on communities, but generally speaking, if these are Slack communities, you can set up alerts for specific keywords. This solution for hiring is called Rocks and Gold. If that makes sense to you, you can check this one. LinkedIn engagement, obviously you don't need anything, just your profile and do the thought leadership on LinkedIn. Generally speaking, demand gen events, it's up to you what you use, right? So the next question, let me cover a question. Let me know, KJ, if it's helpful. Feel free to ask any other questions. And yeah, obviously LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Yeah, that's for sure. The question from Scott, how should sales use intent data, and should they prospect from it immediately, use it to nurture, or use it to bank for future conversation? And that's the point, exactly what I said, right? You need to have a clear account development playbook. And what would you use? In our case, and this is basically, I would love to partially cover question from Kami, right? We have, let me come back to this slide. If you look, guys, at distribution, can you see the distribution area? And then what we can do ads, we can do micro events, we can do direct mail, we can set up personalized content hubs, social engagement, and selling. And generally speaking, what we recommend is having a mix of all of these activities in your warm-up and activation. So ideal playbook would be a mix of all of these things, right? And this is what we do at Full Funnel. Generally speaking, if you are interested in seeing implementation of all of these case studies, I would navigate you guys. I would share that link. Sorry, blog. If you'll go to our blog, there are a couple of examples of each of these playbooks. So I would just open the links and share it with you so you can see how each of these campaigns worked. So I don't need just to recall the same, just to repeat the same story, right? Because these things are already published and you can check them here. So navigate to fullfunnel.io/blog. There are a bunch of case studies that you can see, and I also dropped a link in the chat so you can see how it works. A question from Miki. I'm specifically interested in intent data for enterprise organizations. Are the tools and approaches different to those if we are hunting SMEs? The approaches are not different, but what might be different is the complexity of account development. Let's say if you guys sell to enterprise company, just even to this one, like, so here we have above 3K employees, right? And the buying committee would be first of all, what is the problem with enterprise accounts? The real problem is that it's hard to identify who would be exact decision maker because they have lots of departments. They might have a diversified hierarchy in that company. So it would be hard to understand who is in charge of what. Even if the title says, I am VP of whatever, VP of sales, VP of IT, it doesn't mean that this person would be in charge of the key initiative where your product fits, right? So that's why we need to, when it comes to enterprise accounts, it makes sense to have this diversified buying committee structure and shared playbook who will be doing what. Give me a second. I would also find an example of account development playbook, so it will make more sense to you guys, and I would share in a moment. I think that visually it would be more helpful if you'll see it. Meanwhile, again, just share with me feedback if the explanation is helpful, if it was clear. Share with me your insights. Let me share with you the account development playbook, right? So this is an example. I just opened the presentation from ABM Strategy webinar. So this is an example of splitting responsibilities. This is a simplified version. But if you have an ABM team, if you have sales involved, marketing involved, etc., right? Different salespeople should be in charge of prospecting different roles, right? And then this is an example of playbook of cadences that you need to set up for a specific warm-up. Let's say you decided to go, like I shared it with your podcast, research, micro event, etc. All of this and social selling, all of these things might work, right? You just need to think which one strategy would work for you better. And then you need to define a specific cadence of who would be doing what, right? How these people could engage. And just to give you an idea, so let's say, let's go to LinkedIn to share with you that, yeah, let's find that company, DMG. As you can see, we don't have any connections with these people right now, but we can navigate to employees. And then we have head of business unit. We have a couple of, just to give you an idea, a couple of connections. What we can do. So I know this guy Jens, who was an early, he was an early member of our community. So I might reach out and ask him if he has any idea about the structure of that company, right? So get some insider information. Then we have a couple of people here. So let's see, Christopher and Norbert, they are market project leads. And this is what's really important when it comes to account development, right? Let's come back to my slides. So let's say in this case, we as full funnel want to prospect and basically generate opportunity while using ABM campaign, right, with this company. So in this case, staffer would be in charge of targeting marketers, right, engaging with his peers. So let's go to profile of Christopher. He is marketing manager, digital products, etc., digital transformation, sales enablement, virtual events. And what is really cool? So first of all, we are hosting with you a virtual event right now, right? So this is one of the things that we can do with these guys. So we can share our episodes and we can talk like, would you be up if we'll do a virtual event? Obviously, we need to dive deeper. We need to look what these guys are up for, what they're posting about. Unfortunately, I don't know German language, so I need to use Google Translate to a prompt to understand what they are talking about. But just to give you an idea, that could be a cool idea, right? To leverage in connections, seeing what he is up to. And in our case, just to give you an idea what we can use as an example, I shared with you a link to this case study. I assume this one. No, this one. So we had a cool example, and quite often we use events as a warm-up part in our ABM campaigns. And then with this client, we had a really cool summit. And this is basically an example of conservative market because they are selling to smart home installation companies, right? So these are not companies who are hanging out on LinkedIn all the day long. So with the help of that summit, we used to generate 34 sales opportunities and 5 clients for that company. And this could be a good angle for our warm-up. This is what we can leverage in engagement with that specific person, right? Just to give you an idea. Another marketer here is Norbert. So the industrial marketing show, and they're on the podcast episodes, which is really cool. We can use this insight. We can listen to that podcast episode and again leverage this because they're already doing this, right? So we can invite him and his VP of marketing to our Full Funnel Live podcast, chat with them. And obviously, I don't want to dive deeply into the playbook of how we are doing it and what we are doing it, but just to give you an idea, these are some opportunities, and staffer could do that engagement, right? He could proceed with account research with this group of people, while I would be looking for people like VP of marketing, managing director, and Vlad would be focusing on folks like not head of operations, but where we had CEO, EMEA North, Harald, so that could be a target person in the buying committee for Vlad. So this is how it works. This is what the account development playbook stands for. Let me know, guys, if it helps. Try to provide as much details as possible. And there was a final question from Kuhn. Suppose you do a pilot with a target list of 10 accounts. It's a combination of intent from G2 and, of course, the ICP-related firmographics. How do these accounts evolve over time? For how long do you pursue these 10? When do they disqualify? We get new intent data on a continuous basis. When do we start at replacing? Yeah, so that was, I assume the question from him is common or it's related to our the way how we develop ABM motion, right? We start with pilot programs, then we do the operationalization and move to scaling. And for the pilot campaign, we always recommend to start on a small scope. So 1 marketer, 1 SDR, 1 geographical market, 1 vertical, and 10 accounts maximum, right? So that's the key point is to launch the ABM campaign fast and get the feedback, because you might make mistakes in ICP, you might make mistakes in account qualification or disqualification. And this pilot campaign will give you lots of insights so you can improve it, right? So you launch it, you see that you made some mistakes, you improve your targeting criteria, basically your ICP, right? And then you relaunch. When you are satisfied with the results, and obviously you need to define what would be a positive signal, what would be a level of satisfaction with launching a specific campaign. When you satisfied, you start operationalizing it, you start documenting the processes that you can share with other team members, and basically start building ABM team and making it an evergreen operation. So that's the way how it works. Very useful. Every week I learn more and more. Thanks a lot, guys. And one thing that I would love to ask you, so generally speaking, how was that episode? How was it helpful? Was it insightful? Did you get clear idea of how to use it and what to do? Type emoji plus whatever you prefer. Just want to hear your feedback. And one more thing, if you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a lot, guys, if you can go to our Spotify page and give us 5 stars and leave a short review. We want to scale that channel as well this year. So if you can leave 5 stars and positive review, that would be much appreciated. The link is in Zoom chat. That being said, that's it for today. Let me know if you have any other questions, guys, and I would make a short announcement. So next week, we'll have a webinar with Stefan, who leads one of the most popular, or let's say one of the hottest Belgium startups. He is Stafford's neighbor in Ghent. And that episode would be all about developing a brand strategy for B2B tech company. I would love to emphasize on the brand strategy, not the go-to-market strategy. The startup he works for, as I have heard from Stafford, is on all TV channels and in all media. So everybody is talking about it. So I think that would be super valuable and super helpful for you guys. So stay tuned. We'll send invites next Monday. Otherwise, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for awesome engagement today. Thanks a lot for great questions, and see you next Thursday. Cheers. Take care.